Hi everybody, welcome to another video by Don. This is Don, and this is video 3 of 3 in my review series on the ParkZone P-51D Mustang Ultra Micro Warbird. If you've watched videos 1 and 2, you saw me take this thing out of the box and give you my initial thoughts, and then in video 2 you got to see it fly. So this is video 3. These are my final thoughts about the plane after owning it for a month and running several batteries through it. Probably close to 25 or 35 battery cycles out of this plane. Just so you know, if you've never watched any of my videos before, if I'm going to do a review on something, I'm not going to review something that I wouldn't recommend. Not doing reviews on anything that I wouldn't recommend somebody to buy, or of a product that I wouldn't personally believe in or personally own. If I post a review video or post a series of videos on something, it's because I own the product and I like it. I don't work for any RC company or retailer or anything like that. I'm just a hobbyist like you who's out here doing this. So that being said, let's get on with the review. We'll start by doing some pros and cons. I'm going to do the cons first. Cons. One is because of the weight. This thing does not like the wind. Now it weighs just over an ounce, and the lightweight is good because it doesn't have to have a really powerful motor to make it perform, but I wouldn't fly this in anything more than a 3-mile-an-hour wind. The reason why is because it gets pushed around. Getting pushed around could cause you to lose the plane, lose control of the plane, could cause you to crash the plane and damage it, or damage something else, or hurt somebody. So don't fly it in high winds. When I was flying it in the evenings. I still take this thing out, try to take it out at least 3 or 4 times a week, and fly it in the evenings, usually about an hour before it gets dark. It gets dark here about 9:15 to 9:30 right now, this time of the year in the summertime. So I've been going out about 8 o'clock and flying my plane. There's usually no wind unless there's a storm blowing in. Next con. I mentioned this as a potential con in the opening box video, video 1, the Velcro battery. The battery velcros onto the bottom of the plane. And what happens is, if you're doing a belly landing or if you crash, a lot of times the battery either comes loose and is just hanging by the battery connector, or the battery becomes disconnected altogether and ends up on the ground somewhere, and then you have to hunt for it. Now that's also a pro, having that Velcro battery compartment on the bottom. I'll get to that in a minute. Last con that I could come up with on this little plane, the landing gear is taped on. Now, while that is a pro, and I know a lot of planes do that, it does help avoid damage, because if the gear strikes something that could normally damage it or damage the plane, it simply pulls the tape away. But at the same time, it's a con because it's easily lost. You don't see any main gear on my plane because my main gear is lost. I was out the first night I was flying this. The video that you saw is actually all from the second night that I flew this plane. And the landing gear, I was landing in the grass. I picked the plane back up and just happened to notice, hey, my landing gear's gone. I have no idea where it went. We looked all over. From the video you can tell I'm flying in a fairly open, large area, and so because of that we were unable to locate the landing gear. So the landing gear's gone. The last con here, doesn't like inverted flight. Doesn't matter what I did, this thing does not like inverted flight. It tends to lose lift real quickly when it's inverted. I may be doing something wrong. I'm still an amateur, but it doesn't like inverted flight. The pros. This thing flies great. It's highly maneuverable. It's easy, even for an amateur like me. I have owned one other RC plane. I got to fly it one time. That's why there are no videos on my YouTube channel. After I had a problem with that plane, which shall remain nameless, and I couldn't get parts to repair it, couldn't get what I needed to fix it, even from the manufacturer, I tossed that plane and went to my local hobby store and bought this one. I had bought the other plane online. That is something I will never do again. I'm not bashing online shopping, but the service that you get at your local hobby store when you develop a relationship with those people is invaluable. Next Pro. This thing is durable. I crashed it, cartwheeled it. You saw it in video number 2. It's incredibly durable. I love the fact that the prop is indirect drive off the motor. That means if you crash it, you will not have to buy a new motor to replace the prop shaft. You can just replace the prop shaft separately. And the guys at Hobbytown said they've never had to order one of those for one of these planes, which is even more encouraging. The Velcro battery hold down. The one pro to this is it does allow you to change the battery out quickly. So that is a pro. You don't have to take a bunch of stuff out to change a battery. This thing is highly responsive in flight. It can turn really fast. It does loops, barrel rolls, all kinds of great maneuvers. So I loved that. The control response is fantastic on it, and I will probably get in here and change it. There are 2 settings on there that I can change. I'll probably change the throw settings on it and get even more response out of it. It's very reasonably priced at 80 bucks. This thing, I think I paid 88 for it in the bind and fly version. I am flying it with the DX6i. 80 bucks is not bad to get into RC flying. Not at all when you look at the price of some of the other kits out there. Parts are fairly cheap for it. The most expensive part is the ESC radio combo. It is 80 bucks. If I blow up an ESC, I'm buying a new plane. Why not spend 10 extra bucks? You get good flying time out of it. The included 120 milliamp hour batteries, anywhere from about 6.5 to just over 9 minutes, depending on how you're flying. If you're doing a lot of aerobatics, a lot of loops, a lot of barrel rolls, you're going to get 6.5 minutes. If you're doing a lot of slow flight, cruising around, getting used to flying, getting used to the plane, just over 9 minutes. Modifications that I made, I had to put 3 grams of weight in the nose. If you notice in the flight video, the plane does tend to want to pitch up. I changed that after I made that video. I took fishing weight, I smashed it with a hammer, I taped it to the nose. You'll see that in this picture here. I trimmed in a slight amount of down elevator, just a little bit, to help with that problem also. I had to repair one of the wings. The left wing was damaged because of cartwheeling. Same thing with the tail section. I had to repair the rudder because of cartwheeling. I did also break a 120 milliamp battery in a crash. It actually came off and broke. They have a 150 milliamp battery available. It's a Horizon Hobby product. I already have one for one of my blade helis. I'm going to try it in this. I have not tried it yet, but I expect to get over 10 minutes of flying with that. Recommendations: fly in low or no wind, fly it outdoors, fly it over grass. Grass is a lot less harder on it landing than concrete. Get multiple batteries for it. Get a Selectra charger if you can afford it, and don't fly it really high. And that'll pretty much do it, guys. The next plane I plan to get, just based on recommendations from the guys at Hobbytown, is that ParkZone T28 Trojan. Thanks for watching. Go back and watch the other videos if you haven't seen them, and look for more on this plane. Have fun out there, and remember, subscribe, comment, and rate.